So I wanted to come on here and do a video on steps. I want to talk about what do I mean by steps, how do we log them, why do we log them, tricks to get in, what you need, and then sort of close it out from there. The first thing that I want to talk about is like what are steps? It's literally just every time you take a step. So you can use your Apple Watch, you can use Fitbit, you can use some other wearable pedometer. But ultimately, you measure them with some sort of technology. You're not going to like count them or anything. But it's not crazy expensive to get some type of a device to wear or to carry on you. I would wear one just because it's easier than trying to keep up with something. So that's what steps are. It's every time you take a step. Now, why do we track something like steps? Um, if you are in a prep and you know, like, or if you've ever prepped before, and you get to the very end, you'll notice that you find ways to be more efficient. Naturally, your body wants to do less, move less. You don't want to get up as often. You don't want to go do things as often, walk around as much. Even if it's as little as like, oh, I'm going to go to the bathroom, then I'll just hold it because I don't feel like getting up. Whereas in the off season or in the beginning of prep or whatever, you're more likely to just get up and do it, whatever it is. And so we track our steps in order to, in a prep scenario, we track them to make sure that our activity level is staying at a certain place. Um, there's a lot of other value to it as far as like off season. If you have a strenuous job, maybe we don't put any cardio in because we see that your steps are so high and things like that. But strictly from a fat loss standpoint, the steps are in place as far as logging them, setting a minimum, those sort of things. They're in place because we want to create a baseline of activity per day for most days. And so that's why we track them. Now, uh, if you find that your daily activity is dwindling, then it's important to implement strategies to increase those daily steps. Uh, some of those things can be parking further away from places. If you work from home or something, take little walks after you have a meal. It doesn't have to be very much. It can be a 3-minute walk. Um, you do enough of those a day, then you've got hundreds to thousands of steps in. If you microwave some food and you're waiting on it, take some steps around your kitchen. That's activity. It counts. There's no target heart rate for these. And so the way that I use, or the strategy that I'll use to track these, I actually will have people remove the device that they're using while they're doing cardio. Unless they're on a bike or something, and then it doesn't matter. But if you're doing, uphill walks, or if you're doing a treadmill or a stair mill or whatever, those are a lot of steps that you're getting while you're doing cardio. If you've only got cardio so many days a week and not all 7, then that activity level is going to be different on your rest days. So that's the reason that I don't have people track their steps for their cardio. Now, if somebody, is in a prep and we didn't start implementing steps until later, and they're doing cardio every day already, then it doesn't really make any difference because the ultimate thing is consistency. So what I may do in that situation is just increase the steps as well as the cardio. If I'm trying to create a bigger deficit without just the food aspect of it. Um, another reason that we do the steps thing versus just a ton of cardio is because you do burn calories and fat when you're just active in general. If you go somewhere like New York, or if you look at the upper Northwest, or somewhere like that, these people are outside a lot. They're moving a lot. They're walking to work and back. They're walking to coffee shops. Everything they do, they might walk or they might bike or whatever. And so you don't see a ton of just like overweight people walking around in places where they're really active. And so there is obviously something to that. Your activity level daily definitely goes into the calories in, calories out formula. So it's just one more variable that we have to use to get in shape for a show. Or if you're just a general, population client who isn't competing, you still, calories in, calories out still applies to you. So that's a way for us to increase the output without having to just beat somebody up with a ton of cardio. Um, and it's not like when you ask somebody to do more steps, it's not like you're asking them to take a trip to the gym, get on a treadmill or a bike or a stair mill and just like pound it out, for an extra amount of time and beat their bodies up. So I really don't have just a ton of sympathy if steps become an issue for people, um, longer than just a few days when they're figuring it out. And so this, if you're a competitor of mine, and I'm not talking about you because I have had some people recently ask me, for tips to get the extra steps in, and and now they're doing that. So if you think, if you're a competitor and you think this is about you, it's not. Um, so I just wanted to kind of give some tips and tricks for things, and kind of talk about some of the reasoning why we do this, and how to go about doing it and that kind of thing. So if you guys have questions, comments, put them below. I'm 6 weeks out, so I may not really care much about them if they're negative or whatever. But I appreciate the engagement nonetheless. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to try to get a few more of these out as we go. Can't promise much just because I'm never very good at putting videos out. And now that I'm this deep in prep, I'm just mostly surviving. But I had this thought and I thought it might be helpful and beneficial. So let me know your thoughts, guys, and I'll talk to you next time.